Hi, welcome to our podcast, Good Deeds Real Estate with a Mission. I'm Diane Davidson. I'm here with my partner and husband, Bill Weidacher.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Diane.
How are you, Bill?
I'm well.
Good.
I'm
good.
well.
So today we were discussing this offsite and something that's come up a few times recently, which is that homeowners, whether they're investment property or primary residence, don't always understand what their what kind of tax advantages they have with regard to not paying taxes on the gain on their properties when they're selling. And it's become particularly important to people who have a substantial gain in this market, right? So maybe that's why we're seeing more and more of it. And this is something that changed, what, 96 or 97?
25 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to back up. When we say we were discussing something off-site, what does that mean?
Not at the, I don't know.
Not
on
here
our
at the
own time,
office.
At home.
25 years, and we still get people that will call and say, I know I have a once-in-a-lifetime exemption.
Because I'm
How much is
55
it?
or over.
$125,000? And that hasn't been in existence since the Clinton administration.
Exactly, that's when it passed. Or they say, I know I have to spend as much as I'm selling for, as long as I spend this much or more. As a matter of fact, I remember when it first came into law, that it allowed a lot of people to buy second homes because they took the gain, the untaxable, non-taxable gain from their first home, their primary residence, and they bought a smaller primary residence and then a second home. And there was no tax consequence for them. So they no longer had to, what changed was that they had to always spend, basically in a nutshell, in simplified terms, they had to spend at least as much as what they were selling for, right? And that went away. And that has no benefit anymore. Like when I say to people, no, you can take a single person, $250, a married couple, $500, and there's also a way of two owner occupants to split the $500. A non-taxable event, $250,000 in gain profit, $500,000 in gain or profit, no tax paid, and no, you can't. No, there's nothing you can do if you want to buy something for even more than that. There's no benefit, right? That went away.
So for primary residences, this idea of paying a capital gains tax goes to zero, up to $500,000 if you're married or splitting it,
Correct.
or $250 if you're a single individual, $250,000. Zero capital gains tax
Zero.
for primary residence.
Zero.
That is a really
It's
big
huge.
deal compared to what it used to be, which is where people still get hung up. It used to be a once in a lifetime exemption for $125,000 if you were over 55.
Yeah.
And so now you can do it providing, if I have this right, providing it was your primary residence 2 out of the last 5 years.
Correct. Absolutely right.
And to me, that probably since that act, there were many provisions that were put in place back then. The Roth IRA came out of that tax act. This idea of the no capital gains came out of that tax act. So I think it is the single best thing that came out of that tax act 25 years ago now.
When you think of somebody downsizing, or right-sizing, I should say, so they're moving out of a home they've owned for many, many years, perhaps decades, and they're able, if it's two people, to take $500,000 tax-free, they can really sort of directly make a huge lifestyle change in where they're going off, and they do split it into two homes.
Yeah, and we've had clients that have had, let's say, a year-round lake property, and their primary residence here in southern New Hampshire, let's say. They've sold their primary residence, exempted $500,000 in gain, moved to the lake property, declared that as their primary residence, and now, after 2 years' time, they could sell that and exclude $500,000 in gain. It's
Right.
not a only once in your lifetime thing. It's that you can do it over and over and over again.
Right, but the 2-year thing that you just mentioned is important. So it has to be your primary residence for no less than 2 years. And you're right, the IRS looks at it, they do a 5-year look back. So the day you sell, they look 5 years back and 2 years cumulatively. It could be like a day in, a day out. I mean, I want to exaggerate and simplify it, but I guess that's contradictory. I don't want to exaggerate the terms of it, but basically if you claim it as your primary residence for 2 out of the last 5 years, then it is considered that and treated as that. You also, as you said, can't do it more often, more frequently than every 2 years, right? So if you move into that lake house and you go and sell it after a year and a half, unless, there's one exception, if you move for a job, and if that new job is 55 miles or more from the home that you're selling, then it's prorated, right? So let's say you're there for a year and a half, then 3/4 of that $500,000 is tax exempt. A lot of numbers.
Well, yes, it's a lot of numbers, but the point is that don't just think, this is gonna be subject to tax. I don't think it makes sense to sell. Check with somebody.
Right.
To make sure that you strategically do it in such a way so you can exclude as much of the gain from tax as possible.
Yeah. And we're obviously not accountants, we're not tax attorneys, but do check with somebody because there's specific criteria, like for instance, you have to be, if you're a married couple, filing jointly. There are times when when two people, married or not, are in a home and it's in a trust, and that trust, they're both occupants are not part of the trust, then it's gonna be tough to get more than, or have more than $250,000 capital gain tax free. So
and we've had people, builders for instance, we've known builders that, build a house, move into the house, live there for 2 years, sell the house and exclude, and live there for 2 years in their their primary residence, and sell it and exclude up to $500,000 in gain from tax. It's fabulous. Flippers, providing you live there, right? 2 out of the last 5 years.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So
I think I got it.
You think you got it? Okay.
I think I got
we
it.
lived there 2 years? Not yet. So it's, I think, the reason we brought it up today, or we're talking about it today, is because it has come up for discussion many times this past year. Again, probably because of the appreciation people have seen, and it's just interesting to me that to both of us that a lot of people have not thought about availing themselves of this, and so important though to talk to a CPA or a tax attorney to make sure that they have all their ducks in a row before they sell.
You don't want to find out post-sale because if you haven't done it correctly, it's kind of too late to do a do-over.
Right.
You can't reverse it.
Right. And so when it started, when it was put into law, when the IRS passed the code or rewrote the code, it was $250 for a single person, $500 for a married couple. But there's also provision for 2 people owning a property together, who are both on the mortgage, both claiming it as their primary residence. So they basically get to split. So they split the cost of the house. They split the number that the house is selling for, and they can apply their $250 toward their half of that transaction. So it's not limited to married couples, which warms my heart.
Yeah. Well, I think that is the Internal Revenue Service recognizing today is a different time than even it was 25 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think that adds a lot of clarity, and I hope for those listening or watching that you got a little bit more particular about it today. Thank you for bringing this up.
You're welcome. In a future podcast, we'll probably interview a CPA tax attorney, get some more specifics. And since it's such a fascinating topic, how to defer capital gains tax or how to avoid capital gains tax, we're going to talk about a 1031 tax deferred exchange.
When would we do that? Now?
No, not now. Another episode.
Well,
something to look forward to. That's it for now. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube or follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome. My pleasure.